excuse me.
Yes.
What do you do?
I'm actually asking two very easy questions to see if people trust their common sense.
Okay.
You want to give it a shot?
Curious. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
definitely. Good. I mean, here's the first one. They're multiple choice too, to make it even easier.
Okay, so what do I have to do?
So I'm gonna explain the question, and then we'll see if we can get it. So here I have 3 box trucks, and they're completely sealed, and they're all on a level surface. Okay. They also all have an apple hanging from a string. The only difference between these 3 box trucks is that one is at rest, one is accelerating forward, and one is accelerating in reverse. So out of these 3, which one is at rest?
It have to be B, right?
Why would you say B?
Because if it was accelerating, inertia momentum would cause the entire truck to move. Oh, yeah. Oh, wait. No, because then apple, you're right, because the apple could be moving at the same speed.
No, we're talking about acceleration.
Okay.
Acceleration in specific. So one is at rest. Which one's at rest? Let's get that one out of the way first. Okay. Which one's at rest? One of these 3 is at rest.
I'm going to guess B because it looks like there's no motion.
It is B. And what would you say B though, if you had to explain why?
If I had to say because there's no motion or acceleration
of the apple.
Moving of the apple.
Yeah, it's remaining
tilted.
Yeah.
Right?
The vector is still remaining vertical.
Correct.
Exactly. So which one's accelerating forward?
Accelerating forward. It would have to be this one, A, because if you're moving in a forward direction, the apple would be moving backwards as you go because it's being pushed by the momentum forward, correct?
Yeah, so the apple's not necessarily moving back, it's just being left behind due to inertia. So the whole container is moving forward and the apple is being left behind.
Same thing as like being in a car crash. You're being moved forward and you can crash while the car is stopped.
Yes, and you're still moving forward, but this is the other way around. The truck is moving forward and this is being left behind, the apple. And not until the truck's able to tug it with the rope, and not until then is able to pull the, I guess you can say, the apple, right? Okay. So yeah, so you got it. So it was A, obviously the twin inertia. So the second one is pretty similar, but instead of an apple, it's a helium balloon. Oh, so that's the only difference now.
Okay, now I don't know how this would work.
Yeah, I know. So which one's at rest, first of all?
Oh, they act really weirdly.
No, but we're talking about at rest right now. But yeah, they do act a little different.
I'm gonna say still B.
Yeah, it is B. Yeah, and it's for the exact same reason as the first, because it's vertical and it's not moving.
Exactly.
So which one's accelerating forward?
Ooh. I want to say C, actually.
Okay. Why do you want to say C?
I don't know. I feel like it probably is wrong, but I just feel like it would act a little bit weirdly.
It would act different, right?
It would act a little bit differently.
Yeah, okay. And it is C.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you why. There is 2 reasons why it's C. The first reason is helium is less dense than air.
Yes.
And the second reason is the force of the truck pushing in this direction pushes the air in that direction as well.
Oh, that makes sense.
And then the air, because it's more dense than helium, is able to push it in the same direction.
Yes. Okay, that makes sense.
So those are the 2 reasons. You require a density difference, less dense than the air, and you require a force. And that's why a helium balloon would move. That's what we will call buoyancy. It's like a knock-on effect.
Okay.
Something pushing on something else that's pushing something else that's less dense.
Oh, right? That makes sense.
Yeah, and I can demonstrate that here. Look, this is a buoyant object inside of water. Water is more dense than this ball. If I apply a force in this direction, what do you think the direction of the ball is going to be?
To the right?
Yes.
Oh, it does.
So it gets pushed in the direction of the force. Buoyancy gets pushed in the direction of the force.
And because when you stop, it hits the right and bounces left. Oh, and it goes back to the middle.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what buoyancy is. So let me ask you this. If I have a helium balloon here on Earth and I release it, what direction does it go?
Still up.
Again, there's 2 reasons why that happens. What are the 2 reasons? Less dense in the air. What's the second reason?
And then the air will be pushing up, right?
Yes. So a force. So in this scenario, the truck generated the force to push the air in this direction, which in result pushed the helium in the same direction. What's generating the force here on Earth to push the air up to be able to push up the helium as well?
I guess wind power. I wouldn't understand.
Because the air can't push itself. Again, it requires something external to push it. In this case, it was the truck.
Like Earth's rotational force, I suppose?
No, it's not.
Could you explain?
So the answer is the Earth. So gravity. But here's
still gravity.
Yeah, it is gravity. But here's the thing: the gravity of the Earth is actually a push, not a pull. So the Earth is pushing up on you right now.
That
so
makes
it's literally
sense.
moving up. And yes, exactly. So it's not pulling you down towards it. It's pushing up against you, and that's what we have to balance still, because it's pushing up against us. And that motion of the Earth pushing up is what's pushing up the air as well, creating the air pressure here on Earth, which is then able to push helium in that same direction.
That makes sense.
So the Earth is literally moving up through space right now and not pulling you down. So I don't know if you knew gravity as a pulling force is just theory. So there's a theory of Newton and the theory of Einstein, but they're both just theories, meaning that they haven't been physically proven. So a downward force of matter accelerating down in free fall has never been detected or measured because the force is actually up. Buoyancy shows us that. So they're never gonna be able to prove it. In other words, because it's the other way around.
That is interesting.
So here, Yeah, so the real reason why I'm doing this is because you believe the Earth is a ball, right?
Correct.
So do you understand that on a ball, up is relative? In other words, if you're standing here, up is this way, but if you're standing here, up, up is in every direction away from the center. It's relative. But if we could prove that the Earth is pushing up instead of pulling you down, and buoyancy shows us that, how can the Earth move up, for example, for someone up here this way and someone down here this way at the same time? How can the Earth move up like this and like this at the same time?
That is true. I don't know.
It wouldn't work. That would mean the Earth will have to be expanding to be able to push up in every direction away from the center, and it'll just explode. So it wouldn't work. So in order for people to believe in the ball Earth theory, they first have to believe in the theory of gravity being a pulling force. Because if we could prove that it's a pushing force, and buoyancy shows us that, then the whole globe Earth concept falls apart. So that's why they push gravity as a pulling force, because they want us to believe in the globe Earth.
Okay.
Because again, the Earth is actually an extended level plane, and we're all standing on it, and up is just in one direction. So the Earth is just moving up in one direction like this, because the Earth is just an extended plane, a level plane. So that's the reality. So that's the number one proof to debunk the globe Earth, is the fact that gravity is a push of the Earth, not a pull. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. So if I was to ask you respectfully, why do you believe the Earth is a ball?
I guess I've seen pictures on it.
Okay, so images of the Earth.
Images. I guess it makes sense because it has a curve on it. Otherwise we'd be able to see everything, right?
Yeah, so you think the horizon is like the curve of the Earth?
Correct.
So there is a limit to how far we could see. So there is a limit to perspective. And the horizon is simply that. It's the limit of our field of view. So the horizon is not a physical thing. It's actually an apparent thing. So the horizon is only apparent. Because when you increase altitude, you get a different horizon. Okay. Because you're increasing your field of view now.
Yeah, okay, that would make sense.
So again, we do have a limit to how far we can see, and that's why we can't see forever. It's not because of a curve of the Earth. Technically, it's because of the curve of our eye. Because we have spherical vision, and everything converges to a point. Because we have spherical eyes. Okay. So there is a limit to how far we can see based on our vision. Okay. So not the curve of the Earth.
How about the second point?
So here's what was the second point? Images. Okay, so images here. I have two images here from NASA. Here they are. These are official NASA images. So 2002 and 2012. Okay. They admit that all the images they show us from outer space are all CGI. So these were made in a computer. So a real, genuine photograph of the Earth as a whole from outer space as a ball doesn't exist. Okay. So they're all computer generated.
May I add a good point?
Yes.
So what about the planes that take, in this case, multiple stops to reach around the Earth?
So circumnavigation.
Yes.
So here, I'll explain to you what that is. So on a globe Earth, the north will be at the top, right? Okay. So going east and west would just be going this way, and you just come back around this way. Or if you go east, you go this way, or west, and then you come back this way, right? Okay. That's how circumnavigation will work on a globe, right?
Yes.
On a level Earth, again, I don't push any model because in my opinion, this is not what the layout of the Earth looks like. But if the globe Earth was simply just flattened out, this is what it would look like. Okay. But again, I don't buy into this map because I believe that it looks completely different. But just for demonstration purposes, the North Pole will just be in the center point in this model. So east and west will just be circles around the center. So you'll come back to the same spot. So circumnavigation will work on a level Earth or a globe Earth. So it doesn't prove anything, basically.
Do you mind? I do need to check the time.
No worries.
Actually, I do need to leave.
Yeah, here you go. Here's my channel, and I go to other universities to challenge the current narrative. And inside of the 6 top proofs that debunk the globe Earth physically, and on top of the number 1, that the force of the Earth is a push, not a pull. That's the number 1 proof.
Nice meeting you.
So I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Yeah, take care.
What's this?
Actually asking 2 very easy questions to see if the students here trust their common sense. Sure. You want to give it a shot? Yeah? All right. They're actually multiple choice too to make them easier. So here I have 3 box trucks, and they're completely sealed, and they're all on a level surface. There's also an apple hanging from a string in all 3 of them. The only difference between these 3 box trucks is that one is at rest, one is accelerating forward, and one is accelerating in reverse. So out of these 3, which one is at rest?
My common sense instinct says B.
Yeah, it actually is B. Why would you say B though? You gotta explain.
I'd say B because I'm assuming if it's accelerating, an object in motion stays in motion, an object at rest stays at rest, right? Yeah. So if it starts to accelerate, then the object, if it starts to accelerate, then presumably the apple would be swung in one direction versus if it's slowed down, decelerated, it's swinging the other, in reverse.
Sure. Yeah, so obviously this is at rest because it's not moving. You could say that the vector is remaining vertical.
Yes.
So which one would you say is accelerating forward?
I would say I'd probably say this one.
Yeah.
Accelerating forward right off the bat.
Yeah, and it's for the same reason that you're saying the object at rest will stay at rest. So, unless there's a force acting on it. So when you apply a force in this direction, the apple is being left behind. Not until the string is able to pull it with it, that's when it feels a force. So until that happens, the apple is just being left behind. So due to inertia. Yeah, so yeah, this one's accelerating forward and this one's at rest and this one's reverse. So yeah, pretty easy, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so the second one is pretty similar, but instead of an apple hanging from a string, is a helium balloon inside the truck. So out of these three, which one is at rest?
Feels like this is a trap, but...
No, it's physics. It is what it is, in other words.
That's true.
Yeah.
I would say... my initial reaction is that it's the exact same as the last one, with B being at rest.
Okay, and then that is correct. So yeah, so and it's for the same reason that it's not moving in any direction. It's remaining vertical. So that's why it's at rest. Which one's accelerating forward? A. Right? Okay, and this one is actually C. And there's two reasons why it is C. So the first reason is helium is less dense than air, obviously. And the second reason is a force. So when you apply a force in this direction, for example, with the truck, all of the air that's inside the truck is also being pushed in that same direction through space. And because helium is less dense than air, the air is able to push it in that same direction. Okay. So that is what we will call buoyancy. So it's a chain reaction of a force. That's what buoyancy is. It follows the same direction as the force. So for example, I can show that here. This is a buoyant object inside of water. It's a ball. So if I apply a force in this direction, what direction do you think the ball is going to go?
Based on that example, it would go in that direction.
Yeah, just push in the direction of the force, because that's what buoyancy is. So let me ask you this. If I have a helium balloon here on Earth and I release it, what direction does it go?
Up.
So there's two reasons why it goes up. What are the two reasons?
Well, one, I know is that helium is lighter than air.
Yes. And then the second reason?
Second being, I'm not entirely sure.
It's a force.
Force?
Force. So in this scenario, the truck generated the force to push the air in this direction, which then pushed the helium in the same direction, again, buoyancy. Here on Earth, what's generating the force to be able to create the air pressure up to be able to push up the helium up? So what's pushing the air up to be able to push up the helium? What force is that?
Gravity's pushing it down, at least.
Sure, a pulling force of gravity is pushing it down. So the reality is gravity, but it's a pushing force of the Earth. So gravity is a pushing force of the Earth, not a pulling force. So the Earth right now is pushing up against you. It's literally moving up through space, and that's what's creating the air pressure here on Earth, which is then able to push up a helium balloon because the air is being pushed up as well. So I don't know if you've heard or know that gravity as a pulling force is actually just the theory. So a physical downwards acceleration or a physical downwards force has never been measured or detected. So when something falls towards the ground, it's not the object that moves down to the ground. It's the ground that moves up to the object, because the Earth is in constant upwards motion, and that's what gravity is. It's a push of the Earth, the motion of the Earth. So here's the main reason why I'm doing this. You believe the Earth is a ball, right?
Yeah.
Do you understand that on a ball, up is relative? So if you're standing here, up is this way, but if you're standing down here, up is in the opposite direction, and any direction away from the center, right? If we could prove physically that the Earth is pushing up and not pulling us down, in other words, it's literally moving up through space, and that's what gives us buoyancy, how can the Earth move up, for example, for somebody right here, and also somebody down here at the same time, if it was a ball?
Not really possible.
Exactly, it's physically impossible. That would mean the Earth will have to just be expanded to be able to push up in every direction away from the center. It will have to be expanding and it will just explode. So in order for people to believe in the ball Earth theory, they first have to believe in the theory of gravity being a pulling force. Because if we could prove that the force of the Earth is a push, and buoyancy shows us that, then the whole globe Earth model falls apart. So that would be the number one proof to debunk the globe Earth, is the fact that gravity is a push of the Earth, not a pull. So the Earth is actually just an extended level plane, and it's literally just pushing up in one direction. So that's what gives us our up. It's the direction of the Earth, in other words, or the direction of buoyancy.
That is one of the more interesting flat Earth theories I've heard so far.
Well, it's not a theory. It's based on practical physics. Flat Earth, on the other hand, mainstream flat Earth is a theory because over 95% of flat Earthers claim the Earth is motionless. So they deny the fact that the Earth is pushing up as well. So they're like globe Earth, in other words. They believe that objects accelerate down by this magical force that cannot be measured or detected. So both of those models can easily be debunked by the motion of the Earth, which buoyancy shows. So both globe Earth versus flat Earth is a false dichotomy. So that's how they're controlling this whole topic, is by giving you two false, I guess, models, in other words. So the Earth is a level plane that's pushing up, and that's what gravity is.
So I guess my main question would be, who benefits from the like from hiding?
So I'll give you, I don't know because I'm not the one lying, but I'll give you my speculation. So
sure.
The two main reasons why I think they're lying, one is monetary gain. So NASA gets over $70 million every day, which is over $20 billion a year, just to show us CGI images of outer space and cartoons, in other words. So they're obviously stealing money, in my opinion, because they're not really going to outer space. They're just lying to everyone. The second reason is about control. So by disconnecting people from the true nature of the earth and the fact that this is a creation of some higher power, again, I'm not religious myself, but I accept that it is a creation. By getting people to believe in that we evolved from monkeys and all of that, people are become easily more controllable if people just buy into ideas. Because if people are using common sense, then it's going to be harder to control people. So it's about a cheap shot on our common sense so that we're more easily controllable.
So you're anti like evolution?
Yeah, 100%. Evolution is just a theory again. I don't go with theories, I go with physics.
All of evolution?
All of evolution, exactly.
So two questions I have for you.
Yes.
One being on the point of NASA. You know NASA only gets like what, 0.5% of the entire U.S. federal budget?
Yes. So
the
Army gets more.
Which is by a large amount.
But NASA is an extension of the Army, but sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then two, being that, that evolution's been observed in lab environments in terms of microscopic
Adaptation
bacteria.
has been observed, not evolution.
Evolution has been observed from single-cell to multicellular organisms in a lab environment.
A species of animal has never been observed to change to a different species. That has never been recorded.
In terms of, you're saying evolution as a whole?
I'm talking about evolution as in one species transforming into a different species. So that has never been. Adaptation has happened where animals adapt to their environment. They'll grow thicker skin, they'll grow, things to adapt to their environment. That I agree with, adaptation. Evolution has nothing to do with that. So evolution claims a species can transform to another different species.
So that's for single cellular to multicellular life. That transformation is adaptation, not evolution.
Yes, in my opinion, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So evolution has never been proven. That's why it's just a theory. It's Darwinism, right? It's just a theory. It has never been physically proven. Here's the thing. The first law of thermodynamics, energy cannot be created nor destroyed, obviously. In my opinion, that proves that this is a creation. Because we're experiencing something, obviously, that came from something else. Because something can come from nothing. And you can make something disappear either. So everything is what it always has been. Or, obviously, this is a creation, in my opinion, of something else.
Of what?
I don't know what exists.
Something can be created from nothing.
Yeah, so this whole idea of God, I do acknowledge that there is a higher power, but I don't know what that is. People gave it names like God, but I don't know what that is. But something did definitely create this place. I just don't know what it is.
Wouldn't that be the creation of something from nothing inherently?
So put it this way: the way I see it is, something cannot create itself. Like this table cannot create itself. It required an intelligent designer, right? Just like our human bodies, in my opinion, and everything here, our bodies didn't create themselves. The reality didn't create itself, in my opinion. So it requires something else to create it and put it into motion.
Fun thing. Are you a student here, by the way?
I am not a student. I'm just here to challenge the current narrative. So let me ask you this. I'm not sure if I asked you, but because I'm going to be having this conversation. But what do you believe the Earth is about?
For me?
Yeah.
I'd say the large amount of evidence from the majority of scientists, scientific consensus.
Okay,
in fact, I don't think there's really any large gain. Like if NASA is a massive embezzlement operation, that would be presumably a really crappy form of embezzlement operation, given the fraction of a fraction that it actually manages to supposedly embezzle, for one. Two, the things that have actually been done using NASA, for example, weather prediction patterns, which have been used in multiple areas. For example, predicting droughts in Africa, which has been incredibly useful using, I believe it's SNAP technology? I don't remember exactly. That, and also, general scientific consensus, as well as several thousand years of history, going back to, I believe, Aristotle.
So since your whole main premise of believing the globe Earth is based on consensus, could we say then that it's based on faith? It's just
faith in the scientific establishment?
Yeah.
I suppose so.
Yeah, so I would say that when it comes to natural science, faith has no place in it. So because science is measurable, testable, and repeatable. So if something is true, then we don't have to believe it. We can demonstrate it. Because that's the scientific method. We can prove it by putting it through the scientific method. Now, if somebody just simply believes or places faith that they proved something physically, but they never done it themselves, then I would say that's just like a religion.
Absolutely, but although if I'm doing faith in work of other people and their evidence. If that's not possible, then I essentially have to test everything myself. For example, what do I have reason to believe that, say, elephants existed? I've never seen one in real life. I'm placing faith in the images produced by other people.
Well, here's the thing. When it comes to stuff like that, if you show me an image of, when you show me an image, for example, of of you flying, for example, I'm not going to believe that because that defies physics.
Sure.
So if you show me an image of something that defies physics, then by default, I have to dismiss it. Because obviously, like, you walking on water is impossible. But if you show me an image or a video, I would automatically assume you either did some trickery or some camera trickery, one or the other, because that's physically impossible, right? The globe Earth images that they show us from outer space are defy physics as well. So they contradict that the force of the Earth is up, first of all, and also contradicts the physics of water, which physics of water proves that the Earth doesn't curve, you know, physically. So, you know the radius of the Earth by any chance?
Not off the top
So
of my head.
3,959 miles is the alleged radius of the Earth. So based on the radius of the Earth and using the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, we can calculate for how much curvature there should be. So it turns out there should be 8 inches per mile squared. So in the first mile, there's an 8-inch drop. Second mile, 32 inches. And by the third mile, there should be 6 feet of measurable curvature. So how do we measure for that? There's a very easy way. If we went out to a giant lake that was 3 miles across and we build a level structure above the surface of water, the water is going to be parallel to anything horizontal above it once it's at rest, for example, because the surface of water, when contained at rest, will always collapse and form an equal surface, which is level, which is horizontal. That's what water does. They're trying to tell us that the surface of water of every lake, it's bending 6 feet in 3 miles and 66 feet in 10 miles, which is like a 6-story building, you know, which is just physically not there. It's physically impossible for water to maintain a shape on the surface once it's contained and at rest. It's like having a giant pool filled with water and believing the water is doing this on the surface. That defies physics. So the globe Earth curvature doesn't exist. The oceans are level. That's why we call them sea level, because sea is the ocean and level is horizontal. So the sea level term comes from oceans being horizontal. So because the physics of water, you know, shows us that. So this will be the number 2 proof to debunk the globe Earth, is the fact that there is no measurable curvature of the Earth, and the physics of water shows that.
I would be interested in seeing you debate one of the physics professors.
I actually have debated actually in this university in specific a physics professor.
Oh, nice.
And to be honest, he just had the general answers that everybody else has. So he just believed it too, you know. So he didn't have anything practical to demonstrate or why he believes the globe Earth.
Is there a video of that?
Yeah, there is actually on my channel. So you could definitely check that out. And
Sure.
yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, any questions before you go?
Not particularly. This is fun to see.
No, yeah, definitely. So in here are the 6 top proofs that debunk the globe Earth. On top of the number 1, which is the fact that gravity is a push. Or you could take this, have more. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Why not?
And yeah, you can give it a look, and yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I go to UCLA and USC as well a lot. So give it a look. Appreciate it. Hello. Oh yeah. So 2 very easy questions to see if you trust your common sense. So here, we'll start with the first one. It's under here. Okay, perfect.
Is this a project that you have to do?
You could say it's like a social experiment in a way.
Okay.
So kind of a project, I guess. So yeah, so I have 3 box trucks here, and they're all completely sealed, and they're all on a level surface. They all have an apple hanging from the string as well. The only difference between these 3 box trucks is that one is at rest, one is accelerating forward, and one is accelerating in reverse. So out of these 3, which one is at rest? Why would you say B?
At rest means stop.
Yes.
I'm trying not to overthink this, but like, if it's at rest, it means it's at a complete stop.
Yes.
It's not moving at all. It has to be B.
Yes, exactly. For that reason, exactly, because it's not moving. So which one's accelerating forward? Why do you say A?
When the truck moves forward, this goes backwards as like, it's like, I don't know how to say, I forgot like how to say it more scientifically, but like, this one makes more sense since you tend to like lean a little bit backwards
Yeah.
when you forward.
Due to inertia, it's like when you accelerate in a car and you get pushed back in your seat, you know? So again, the whole truck is moving in this direction and the apple is kind of being left behind in a way. So yeah, you got it. That is the one accelerating forward. So number 2 question here. Pretty similar to the first one. The only difference is instead of an apple, it's a helium balloon inside. So same thing. Out of these 3, which one is at rest?
B.
Yes, for the exact same reason as the first, exactly. So which one is accelerating forward?
Still has to be A. Helium, same concept as the apple. It's too light. It can go forward like that.
Well, the reality is that it's actually C. And there's 2 reasons why it's C. So the first reason is helium is less dense than air, obviously, right? So the second reason is a force. So when I apply a force in this direction, in other words, all of the air that's inside of the box truck is also being pushed in that same direction through space. And then because air is more dense than helium, it's able to push it in that same direction. So the helium balloon will go forward in the direction of the force. So that's what we will call buoyancy, when something gets pushed by the medium that surrounds it.
Yeah.
So this is a buoyant object, and I can demonstrate those physics here. So obviously this ball is floating inside of water. If I apply a force in this direction, what direction do you think the ball is going to go?
This direction?
Yes.
Oh, now that you said C, it could go that way.
Yeah, it goes that way. It goes forward. It goes with the direction of the force. So that's what we'll call buoyancy again. It's a chain reaction of a force.
This is a more scientific, like, kind of thing.
It's pretty basic physics.
Yeah.
So here, I actually recreated this experiment too with a helium balloon inside of a cargo van. And I want to see if you can tell, based on these principles, what direction did I accelerate. So there was an apple hanging from a string and a helium balloon as well. So what direction would you say I accelerated? To the right or to the left?
Well, since the previous apple experiment, it's accelerating forward.
Yeah, but not only that, the helium balloon also got pushed in the same direction as the force.
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, buoyancy shows you the direction of the force every time.
Again, that's really interesting.
Yeah, so that's reality, that's physics. So here, let me ask you one last question. If I have a helium balloon here on Earth, because helium is buoyant, right? If I release it, what direction does it go?
If you're just staying still?
Yeah, if you just have a helium balloon here and you release it, let it go, what direction does the helium go?
Well, since it's filled with helium, it should go
Yes, it
up.
goes up, exactly. Again, there's two reasons why it goes up. What do you think that is?
Scientifically, I wish I could explain it. I wish I had more terms. And I know it, but like, it just makes sense since time and time again throughout your whole life, you've seen a balloon filled with helium going up.
Yes, but there's a reason why it goes up. Obviously, it does go up. We cannot accept that as a fact, but there's two reasons why it goes up. The first reason is that helium is less dense than air, right? That's obvious. The second reason is we need a force. So there's a force pushing up the air, which is pushing up the helium. So the air is literally pushing up the helium because it's more dense. I mean, there's a force affecting the air. So in this scenario, the truck generated the force to push the air in this direction because it was inside the truck, obviously. And then the air was able to push the helium in that same direction as the force because obviously there was a knock-on effect. It was a chain reaction. What's generating the force here on Earth to push the air up to be able to push up the helium?
I forgot that helium is lighter than air. And like it kind of flows wherever.
Yeah, so the force is actually the Earth, the gravity, in other words. So,
Yeah.
so gravity, the pulling force of gravity is actually just a theory. I don't know if you knew, because the reality is the pushing force of gravity. That's the real force of the Earth. It's
So
a push, not a pull.
So you're saying that
The ground is pushing up on you right now. It's not pulling you down. So that's what's happening.
Oh, I was about to say, you're saying that if this goes backwards, this
Then-
also goes backwards.
Yes. So this one's accelerating in reverse, and this one's accelerating forward, based on the physics of how a buoyancy, acts. A buoyant object will always get pushed in the same direction as the medium that surrounds it is moving. So when you accelerate, you're moving the medium in that direction, which pushes the helium in that direction as well. So the medium here on Earth is moving up, that's why helium moves up, because air is able to push it up, because it's more dense. So the Earth is literally moving up through space right now, and not pulling you down. And that motion of the Earth moving up is what gravity is. It's a push of the Earth, not a pull. So this is the real reason why I'm doing this. You believe the Earth is a ball, right? Like a sphere? You believe the Earth is a sphere? Right? So do you understand that on a ball, up is relative, right? Because if you're standing here, up is this way for you, but if you're standing down here, up is this way. In every direction away from the center will be up on a ball, right? If we could prove physically that the Earth is literally moving up through space, and that's what gives us buoyancy, right? How can the Earth move up in every direction away from the center if it was a ball?
I know that it has like multiple layers that the atmosphere like carries.
Sure.
And
There's like an ozone layer, then like an atmosphere under that.
I don't think that's really relevant.
No, it actually is. But the real reason is it wouldn't work. Because if the Earth was pushing up in every direction and it was a ball, it would have to be expanding to be able to push up in every direction away from the center, which would mean the Earth would just be growing and it would just explode. So in order for people to believe in the ball Earth theory, they first have to believe in the theory of gravity being a pulling force. Because if we could prove that the force of the Earth is a push, then the whole globe Earth model falls apart. So the reality is the Earth is just a level extended plane, and we're all standing on it, and up is the same for everyone. It's because the Earth is moving up in one direction. So that's what's really happening. So the Earth is a level plane, and it's just moving up in one direction, not a ball pushing up in every direction, because that just doesn't make any sense.
No.
So that's the number one proof to debunk the globe, is the fact that gravity is a push of the Earth and not a pull. So I don't know if you knew, gravity is actually just a theory. So Einstein's theory of gravity, of relativity, that's just an explanation that
I have done way less like science.
Right.
I just know that like there are basic physics that everyone has experienced and just understood.
Sure.
Just I think on the more like complex science, like where you actually have to do the work, you have to study, you have to do the research.
Sure.
Then it becomes like, you know, a little misjumbled, but yeah,
sure.
It still makes sense.
I guess before you go, if I could just ask you one question respectfully, why do you believe the Earth is a ball?
If I have to think why the Earth is a ball, we have to first think how the Earth is formed.
Well, geometrically, right? Because obviously we're standing on the Earth right now.
Yes.
So geometrically, why do you believe that the surface of the Earth curves, I guess, to form a sphere? I guess that would be a more direct question.
I think in my perspective, everything that has to do with the sphere is way infinite, because we know that a sphere has no sides, no angles, all that stuff. So it infinitely like kind of roams around. Like there's no way that you can like pinpoint where's the sharpest angle or all that stuff, and because of that it kind of just flows naturally, I would say. Like everything that almost every planet is round. We all know that. Everything that forms the Earth based with the atmosphere or the land or the sea or just gases makes the Earth round in the end.
Is that because you believe that gravity pulls everything to a center, and that's why everything forms a sphere? Is that why you think that? Or why do you think that? Why do you think everything forms a sphere in outer space? That's what you basically said, right? Why do you think that? Is it because you believe in gravity being a pulling force, or is there another reason? Because that's where the idea comes from, in my opinion. A lot of people think that the Earth was created because of a center point we call gravity, what started pulling matter together, and it formed a sphere because everything comes to a center, right? But again, a pulling force of gravity is just a theory that's based on nothing. Physics actually shows it's the other way around, that the pulling force of gravity doesn't exist, and it's actually a pushing force of the Earth. So again, they need this explanation of gravity to try to explain away how a globe Earth can exist. But if we're building everything off a false premise, which is the pulling force of gravity, then everything we build on that is going to be wrong, because you're starting from a false premise, you know. Because again, the reality is the Earth is pushing up, not pulling you down. So the Earth is literally moving up through space, which wouldn't work from a globe. So this whole idea of gravity being a pulling force is a requirement in order for people to believe in the ball Earth theory, because that's how they explain how people stick to a ball and not fall. That's how they explain water sticking to a ball and, you know, be able to bend around it. That's how they explain how it was formed. That's how they explain airplanes flying level over a curve, because they say gravity pulls airplanes down to autocorrect for the curve. So gravity is just an explanation to try and explain the globe Earth. But the reality is physics shows that the globe Earth is impossible. So
a globe Earth?
A globe Earth is impossible. Physically impossible. So again, because if the Earth was a globe, right, there should be curvature, right? Yeah. You know the radius of the Earth, they tell us?
Oh my god,
Pythagorean theorem. You know the Pythagorean theorem, huh?
A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
So using that simple formula, we can calculate how much curvature there should be. So what we do is we solve for x using this formula. When we solve for x, we just deduct the radius, and we're left with the drop from the level. So based on the radius of the Earth, there should be 8 inches per mile squared of curvature. So that means in the first mile, there should be 8 inches of curve, second mile, 32 inches, and by the third mile, there should be 6 feet of measurable curvature, based on the radius that they're telling us, right? So how do we measure for that curve, right, to see if it actually is there? It's a very easy way. So if we went out to a giant lake that was miles across, we'll say 3 miles, and we build a level structure over the body of water, when the water is contained and at rest, the surface is always going to form an equal level surface, which is going to be parallel to anything horizontal above it. They're trying to tell us that the surface of water is not level and it's actually curving 8 inches per mile square, so 6 feet in 3 miles. So they're trying to make you believe that if you had a pool that was 3 miles across, that the surface of the pool is doing this. But that's physically impossible because water, the physics of water, doesn't have the ability to form shapes on the surface. It always forms an equal surface, which is horizontal. So you've heard of the term sea level, right? Like
Yes.
sea level, right? Sea meaning the ocean and level meaning horizontal.
Yes.
So the oceans are horizontal. And that's why we call them sea level. So again, the oceans are not bending around a ball. That's a physical impossibility for water to maintain a shape on the surface or a curve. Because once water's contained and at rest, it's just level like this. You know, I have an image here to show that the surface of water is always a horizontal.
Yes.
Always when contained. So the oceans are just like giant lakes that are just across the way. They're not bending around a ball. So that's what the oceans are. They're just giant lakes. In other words, yeah. So they're just giant craters and they're just filled with water.
It's just like, okay, man, this one does make a lot of sense with this one.
Yes.
But then at the same time, I think I'm looking at this like at more, what's it called again? A bird's eye view. Like if you're like, I guess flying so quickly, you can see like a little curve of water each time you like go further.
Sure, but that's the thing though. We're starting from a reference point, which will be the plumb line here, and we're building level relative to the plumb. So when we're going to build horizontal, they're telling us that the Earth is going to start deviating from the level. But that doesn't happen.
It doesn't.
Exactly. The Earth doesn't deviate from the level. It is level. It just extends further out. It doesn't curve down to a ball. So again, this is the number 2 proof to debunk the globe Earth. It's the physics of water when contained and at rest. And the number 1 proof is the fact that gravity is a push of the Earth, not a pull. So that's the number 1 proof. And this is the number 2 proof. Let me ask you this. Do you think there's a possibility that we have been lied to about the nature of the Earth, or are you 100% convinced that it is a ball, a spinning ball? Or are you open to that maybe we have been lied to?
I'm open to it.
Okay.
I'm always open to information. It's just what kind of information is given to me and how overwhelmed I get in order for me to like not just accept the information, but just really really process everything.
Yeah.
Because again, I did not do a lot of science. I just know that certain things make sense despite the fact that I never done physics. I don't really research gravity. And like it makes sense in my own world. But if someone that has more scientific knowledge, this is common sense, more scientific knowledge, give me this information, I can't help it but have to believe unless I am, skeptical.
Sure. Yeah, so again, this is very simple in my opinion, like by Pythagorean theorem, for example. So when you use this Pythagorean theorem, for example, to measure how much curve there should be in 1 mile, once you solve for x, for example, and deduct the radius, this is how you do it. You're left with 0.001137 in miles, but then you just convert that into feet, and you're left with 8 inches. You convert that into inches. So again, this formula doesn't lie. It's math based on what they're telling us the radius is, and that's what the radius of the Earth should be, and it's just not there. The curve of the Earth
with the circle, with the sphere, everything just seems so infinite. And
but yeah, but look at the curve, how it increases from the level the further out you go out. That curve doesn't exist, especially over a body of water, because land obviously can be uneven land. So obviously you could probably have deviation in land. But when we're talking about water, the physics of water, the surface doesn't deviate unless it's like on a slope. That will be a river. That is what we will call a river. If water is on a slope and deviating, it flows, right? And that's what a river will be. When the water is contained in a container or like a crater, and the surface, it's not moving anymore or not flowing, the surface always forms a level surface. Which contradicts, this depiction of the Earth. So,
I have a very odd social experiment, I'll tell you that. I think it's a little bit based on who has more scientific knowledge for you to like debate you on it, rather than someone that doesn't really have a lot of common knowledge on scientific gravitational force.
No, yeah, definitely. No, I appreciate the chat. Do you have any questions before you go? Okay, here's my channel. You can give it a look. And I go to other universities as well. I go to USC, UCLA, and I've gone to UCR. You could take that with you, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, and I appreciate the chat.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you have a good one. All right, so 2 very easy questions to see if you guys trust your common sense. So, 3 box trucks here, and they're all completely sealed, and they're all on a level surface. They all have an apple hanging from a string as well. The only difference between these box trucks is that one is at rest, one is accelerating forward, and one is accelerating in reverse. So out of these 3, which one is at rest? B? Okay, why do you guys say B? Okay, yeah, pretty simple, right? Which one? Yeah, which one's accelerating forward?
A.
Yes. Okay, why do you guys say A?
Because when you accelerate forward, there's a lot of drag, so the momentum should pull back on
Right. Well, there's no drag because the air outside is completely sealed.
I see.
Yeah, but it's due to inertia. So the apple is being left behind due to inertia, and the whole container is moving forward. So yeah, it's like why you get pushed in the back of your seat if you accelerate in a car.
Yeah.
Is you're being left behind and the car's pushing up against you. You know. So yeah, due to inertia. But you guys got it. So the second one, pretty similar, but instead of an apple is a helium balloon inside the truck. So out of these 3, which one is at rest? Okay, yeah, for the exact same reason as the first. Which one's accelerating forward? A? Okay. This one's actually C. And there's 2 reasons why it's C. So the first reason is helium is less dense than air, obviously, right? The second reason is a force. So when I apply a force in this direction, all of the air that's inside of the truck is also being pushed in that same direction through space.
Oh, so it pushes
then it pushes the helium because air is more dense than helium. But you require a force as well. You need the air to be moving in a particular direction to be able to push the helium.
But wouldn't the...
That's why you need a force. So here's the thing. Here, I can demonstrate that here. This is a buoyant object inside of water, right?
Yeah.
If we apply a force in this direction, where do you think the ball is going to go?
Yeah, I would...
No, it's C. Remember, it's buoyant.
I know, yeah.
So it's going to go in the same direction as the force. So it gets pushed forward. Yeah, because again, you require a force to push the water, and because water is more dense than this ball, it pushes it in that same direction. So that's what we would call buoyancy. You guys heard of buoyancy, right?
Yeah.
So let me ask you this here. I actually did this experiment in a cargo van myself with the apple and a helium balloon. Based on the principles that we just learned, what direction would you say I accelerated here? To the right or to the left?
To the right.
Exactly. So you do trust your common sense, so that's good. All right, perfect. So if I had a helium balloon here on Earth, because helium is buoyant, right? If I release it, what direction does it go? It goes up, right? There's 2 reasons again why it goes up. Why do you think it goes up?
Because it's not...
That's the first reason. Yes. What's the second reason? Why helium goes up?
Not because the air is like accelerating out of the balloon.
Yeah, well, not necessarily. It's the air that's more dense than helium, but you also require a force. So the force is, yes, gravity. So here's the thing. Gravity as a pulling force actually has never been physically proven. The fact is, gravity as a pushing force is what creates buoyancy. So the Earth is literally pushing up against you right now. It's not pulling you down. So that same pressure of the Earth moving up is what's creating the air pressure here on Earth, which is able to push the helium up, because everything right now is moving up through space. So that's the reality. That's why gravity as a pulling force is just a theory, because a downwards physical force has never been measured or detected. It's because it's the other way around. It's the Earth pushing up, not pulling you down.
Dude, that's like contrary to belief, because like in physics, like all they teach is like
pulling. Yes, but they're just flipping the script. So here's the reality. This is the reason why I'm doing this.
That's why they use the XYZ thing.
So here's the thing. You guys all believe the Earth is a ball, right?
Yeah.
So you guys understand that on a ball, up is relative, right? So if you're standing here, up is this way, but if you're standing down here, up is in the opposite direction. So every direction away from the center will be up on a ball, right?
Yeah.
If we could prove that the Earth is literally moving up through space, and buoyancy shows us that it's pushing up, not pulling us down, how can the Earth move up simultaneously in every direction if it was a ball? So how can the Earth move up if you're standing here, and how can, if somebody else is standing down here, how can it move up this way and this way at the same time?
Like in space?
In space, yes. How can the Earth move up through space if it was a ball?
If there wasn't the sun?
Well, the fact that, well, here's the thing. In order for the Earth to be able to move up, if it was a ball, it would have to be expanding. to be able to push up in every direction away from the center, which will mean the Earth would just explode. So in order for people to believe in the ball Earth theory, they first have to believe in the theory of gravity being a pulling force, because if we could prove it's the other way around and it's the Earth pushing up, then the whole globe Earth concept falls apart. So this will be the number one proof to debunk the globe Earth, is the fact that gravity is a pushing force of the Earth, not a pulling force. And buoyancy shows us that. So the Earth in reality is just a level plane, extended level plane, and it's pushing up in one direction. So the orientation here on Earth is not singular. I mean, it's not relative, it's singular. So everybody's up is the same. So your up right here is the same as somebody in Australia and somebody in China. Everybody is facing the same direction up, in other words, because we're all on the level. So the Earth is a level plane, pushing up. So that's the reality. So if I was to ask you guys respectfully, what's the number one proof that makes you believe the Earth is a ball? Like, why do you guys believe the Earth is a ball?
History textbooks.
Okay, what you were told?
I'd say like pictures.
Pictures. Anything else besides pictures?
Just like that. Also, like all the other planets.
Okay, so
Yeah,
so the lights in the sky. Okay, so we'll start with pictures real quick, and I have a couple of images from the Earth here that
Just as a question, do you believe that the Earth is not a sphere?
It's not a sphere physically. I don't believe that it's not a sphere. I know it's not a sphere. You know, that's a huge difference. So here, I'll show you guys real quick. They're right here. Oh my god. Okay, yeah. So here. So that's the Earth that they show us. This is official NASA images from 2002 and 2012. Not only does America completely different, you know, they admit these are made in a computer. So these are all CGI. They're computer generated. So a genuine photograph of the Earth from outer space as a ball doesn't exist. So
What makes you say that?
they admit that. So it's not even up for debate. Yeah, they admit it. They're all composites. That's what they call them. And they call them images, not photographs. And it's because that way they don't get sued in court.
Yeah.
So they have to call them images because they're made in a computer. They're not photographs. So again, a real photograph of the Earth from outer space doesn't exist. So not only that, these images defy physics. So if I showed you an image of me flying, would you believe I could fly? No, right? Because that defies physics.
Yeah.
What if I showed you a video of me walking on water?
I would say that's fake.
Yeah, obviously that defies physics too, right? So yeah, so these images defy physics as well. So what was the other thing you said besides images?
History.
Yeah,
What,
in science books, like in history and stuff.
oh, history? What about history? How does history prove the globe, I guess?
Well, no, I'm just like, you asked me what makes you think that.
Just like throughout our life, we do. Just like told.
So it's just what we've been told,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's pretty honest. Again, I believed it just because I was told as well. But in reality is, you know...
I have a question for
Yes.
you. Like, what do you think made people start thinking that the Earth was a sphere?
Oh, okay. So why people believe the Earth is sphere? I think it was pushed on us. Yeah. So obviously it's...
Like, do they say the moon?
No. They're pushing a globe because they're trying to cripple our common sense. So if you accept the globe Earth, in other words, you are basically in a way kind of like mentally handicapped because you're having to throw away like a basic understanding in physics, for example, like buoyancy, in favor of an image that says that it's the other way around, that gravity is actually pulling down, that air is being pulled down, but in reality the air is being pushed up because we wouldn't have buoyancy. The helium balloon wouldn't rise if the air wasn't being pushed up. So it's all about crippling us mentally so that we're more easily controllable. And why, you know, they did it, I think it's for control at the end of the day. So that's why they started pushing this. It's not because they made a mistake or they you know, it's deliberate. It's a deliberate lie.
What's like the impact of like making people think
Yeah,
that the Earth is
so
a sphere?
so they're disconnecting you from your true purpose about what the reality actually is and what it means to be human. So the nature of the Earth is we're being lied to about what it is. So they're trying to they want us to believe that the Big Bang created the whole universe and we evolved from monkeys, which evolved from fish, which evolved from bacteria. But all of that's it's all made up. It's our religion. I don't have any beliefs about creation, but I acknowledge that it was created somehow. So this reality didn't come from nothing.
Yeah.
I'm not agnostic because I accept that it has to be a creator. It has to be a God. It has to be. 100%.
So you believe in like some sort of like entity?
But I just don't buy into any religion though. But I acknowledge that there is a higher power.
Yeah.
I just don't know what that is.
Yeah, what's that?
Like there's some sort of like...
Yeah, there is. It has to be 100%. I used to be atheist actually myself, but coming across this subject, automatically like, holy shit, this is an intelligently designed place we're in. This is more. I would say we're like ants inside of like a, you know how people farm
I mean,
ants.
like I feel like when you really look at things, you're like, you know how everything's like so like detailed and so precise about everything. So
dude, the immune system, you know how it works,
like how everything just works.
Yes,
like,
everything.
What made you started questioning like whether or not
Well, I was really, it's ironic because I was actually a huge fan of outer space and aliens and all that. So I was looking into a lot of alien videos back in 2016. And out of nowhere, I just got recommended Flat Earth versus Globe, right? Flat Earth versus Globe. And I dismissed it a few times, but then I finally clicked it just to get it out of the way, right? And they started presenting facts that I couldn't dismiss. So it just started diving into rabbit holes. But what happened is that later on, I realized that a lot of these flat earthers that put out videos in the beginning, they're actually controlled opposition. So have you guys heard of that term?
Like having people on the other side.
Yes. In order to control the opposition, you lead it yourself. So they put out these flat earth gurus, you know. So in my opinion, it was like a... Well, they do, but they're misrepresenting it. So they over 95% of flat earthers deny that the earth is pushing up. So they claim the earth is motionless. So they believe in a theory of like gravity.
Just like it's totally like flat, like.
Yeah, they say it's flat, but it's not moving. So when you release an object into free fall, the object somehow gets pushed down by some magical force that has never been measured, and that's what the globe Earth pushes as well. So the flat Earth and the globe Earth are pushing the exact same thing. But the reality is, it's the Earth pushing up. It's literally moving up through space, and that's what debunks the motionless flat Earth and the spinning globe. You know, that's the reality. You know. So real quick before you guys go. I was showing this as well. So do you guys know the radius of the Earth that they tell us? So the radius is 3,959 miles. That's the distance from the center to the outer circumference. So from here to here, right?
Yeah.
Based on the radius, we could get the circumference of the Earth, which is 24,901 miles, which is the distance around the Earth, right? So based on the distance, based on the size of the Earth, they're telling us there has to be curvature every mile, and every mile that curvature has to increase. So in the first mile, there's an 8-inch drop, second mile, 32 inches, and by the third mile, there should be 6 feet of measurable curvature. So how do we measure for that, right? There's an easy way to do it. So if we went out to a giant lake that was miles across, the surface of water will always be level when contained at rest. So if we were to build a level structure above the water is going to be parallel to that, regardless of distance, because that's how water behaves. You know, and I can show that here. You know, water is always level on the surface. They're trying to tell us that every lake on Earth is bending 8 inches per mile squared, which will be 6 feet in 3 miles, and 66 feet in 10 miles. So imagine if you're standing at the end of a lake, and then 10 miles across, they want you to believe that the end of that lake, the surface, is 66 below your feet, which is a physical impossibility. You know, it's like if you had a pool that was 3 miles across, they want you to believe that the pool is doing this and not doing this. But the reality, the pool is always going to do this, regardless of how long you extend that pool. You know, the surface is always going to be level. You know, so again, this will be the number 2 proof to debunk the globe Earth is the physics of water when contained and at rest show that there is no curvature of the Earth.
Well, can you really see curvature at only like 3 miles?
Well, you wouldn't be able to see 8 inches per in a mile, but you should be able to physically measure that dip. So the deviation from the starting point should increase 8 inches in the first mile, then 32 inches in the second mile, and then 6 feet in the third mile. According to the radius of the Earth. Yeah, at the time. But the fact is, even if they said that, oh, it's because the Earth is much bigger than that, that's why there's not that much curve. The fact is, you could say the Earth is 1,000,000 miles in circumference. There still has to be curvature, but it's not there. So it doesn't matter what size of the Earth you're saying it's a sphere, it's just not there. Curvature is not there.
What I'm kind of like stuck on for this is like how drastic in 1 mile they're saying an 8-inch.
Yeah, an 8-inch drop in the first mile obviously will be there.
That's pretty drastic.
You think that's drastic? Well, the Earth is not that big. It's only 3,959 miles in radius, which is right under 25,000 miles circumference. That's not that big.
Yeah, but that's like 1%.
Right. But that's the thing. You don't even have to believe me. You could use this simple formula, and this is the formula here. You use the Pythagorean theorem to calculate for x, which will be the distance from here to here, right? Yeah. Once you solve for x, then you just deduct the radius from here to here, and you're left with the curve, which will be the distance from here to here, depending on how far you're measuring. So this is a very simple formula that could be used to double check those numbers that you say that they're probably wrong, but they're actually correct. You could ask ChatGPT how much curvature there should be in 3 miles. It's gonna say 6 feet, you know. But the reality is that it's not. In reality, it's not there.
So do you think like sea levels are like a one thing?
So sea level, yes, exactly. So the oceans, we use the term sea level, right? Sea to refer to the ocean and level to refer horizontal. So sea level means horizontal oceans.
I think it's just across like an
yes. Some people think that, in my opinion, the Earth is a contained system. So the air here on Earth is being physically contained by some kind of barrier. So anything about outer space is just theory. Nobody's been outside of the Earth. So that's why everything they're showing us about outer space, like NASA.
So you don't think like the moon landing was real?
No, the moon is just a light. I don't even think it's like a physical object.
You actually think?
Yeah, it's like, do you think you could stand on a rainbow? Why not?
Because it's just light.
Exactly. The sun, the moon, the stars are just lights. Nobody knows what they actually are. You actually look. The stars actually look like rainbows. This is what they look like when you zoom into them. And I don't know if you knew, when you observe a rainbow from a different angle, it disappears, right? Because it's like an effect of light that's happening. Same thing with the stars. When you elevate at a certain height, they disappear as well. So it's an effect.
They're just like lights.
They're just like, yeah, they're just reflecting off of something else. I don't even know what they are, but they're part of the Earth system. They're reflecting off of the ceiling, maybe, I don't know, but they're not light years and light years and light years away. Like, you know, everything about outer space is made up. So the whole heliocentric model is made up. The fact is the Earth is geocentric. So everything revolves. All the lights are revolving around us, and we have these lights, in my opinion, so that we're able to see. Because the sun is part of the creation, so that we're able to see. Because if there was no sun, we'll be blind. You know, we wouldn't be able to see. So a lot of people ask, well, what about the sun? Or what about the moon? I would say, well, they're part of the creation. They're there to like help us see. The stars are there to help you see at night as well. The moon helps you see at night as well.
What do you think about the atmosphere?
The atmosphere, what about it?
Like, I just want to know your thoughts.
Well, it's being contained, in my opinion. So the atmosphere has pressure because it's being pushed. So that's why the push of the Earth up is what creates the air pressure here on Earth. And then that's why we have air pressure. And then you also require containment to have air pressure. So that's why I don't believe in outer space, because physics shows me that in order to have air pressure, you require a physical containment. You know, otherwise the air would just disperse into the void, you know, and we won't have air pressure. But we do have air pressure. So yeah, I mean, any subject, I mean, any questions about this subject before you guys go?
Just a question about you also.
Sure.
Did you like study all this on your own?
Oh, definitely.
Did you do any of this in college? Like, did you study major in
No, I didn't go to college. So I'm a physics enthusiast. So I did a lot of experiments myself. I have them on my channel as well.
Yeah.
A lot of experiments to debunk gravity. So I have a lot of those in my channel, which is the number one proof to debunk the globe Earth. Again, a pulling force of gravity doesn't exist. And again, I have a lot of demonstrations on my channel. You guys can check it out when you leave. And yeah, I had to explore and understand reality for myself. Because if you're telling me theories that contradict what I already know, then I know you're lying. Just like if I know that we can't fly, but if you tell me that you could fly and you show me videos that you could fly, then I'm not going to believe you, because I go with what physics shows me, and that's physically impossible. You know, and the globe Earth is physically impossible as well.
So, also, you said it's a pushing force.
Yes, yes. That's the only forces that exist in nature, actually. Pulling forces don't exist. So there has to be a physical interaction from matter to another piece of matter to be able to make it move. So like an engine requires like the pistons to be able to connect it to the crankshaft, and then it's all motion that's pushing something else, that rotates the tires, which push off of the ground, which gives you motion. So all force here on Earth is a push. A pull doesn't exist. So to claim that this can move this object by pulling it without any physical interaction, that doesn't exist. In order for this to move this has to be moving to move that.
Also,
you know what I'm saying? Everything is push.
The simplest demonstration of gravity, like just by jumping.
Okay, so what happens is when you jump, because the Earth is constantly moving up, it just simply catches up to you again. So you can't escape the Earth because it's constantly pushing up.
With your like expanding theory, you think that?
Well, the Earth is not a ball, so it's not expanding. It's just moving up in one direction because it's level. If it was a globe, it would have to expand, which wouldn't work. It would just explode.
So you also like contradict you know, how the planets revolve around the sun.
Well, again, the whole heliocentric model is just that. It's a model. It's not reality. The lights in the sky, again, nobody knows exactly what they are, but there's just like a rainbow. Like, there's just a visual effect that's happening that actually disappears when you elevate. Just like rainbows, they disappear when you get closer to them.
Yeah.
You know, the same thing with the stars. The higher you elevate, the closer you get to them. Technically, you should be able to see them better, but they disappear. Yeah. So again, it's just they're not. The stars are not what we've been told. They're not planets. They're not suns. They're not. Nobody knows what they are. You know. So I would say they're closer to what a rainbow is. So whatever a rainbow is, which is a reflection of light and refraction, I think that's a more possible explanation, if anything.
So what do you think about like companies like NASA and SpaceX?
Oh yeah, they're just money grabs. They're like any other church that are just there to steal money from people, you know. So church, in my opinion, NASA is no different than any other church. It's just a religion.
So they just like make rockets, send them to space.
Yeah, they actually don't send them to space. If you take a look at a rocket when they shoot it up, it always makes a parabolic flight, and they say that they do that because they're going over the curve of the Earth. But what's happening is that there's a limit to how high we can fly. So it's about 25 miles. And the reason why is because in order to fly, like a helicopter or an airplane, they have to push off of the air. So the air has to be at a certain density. So the higher you elevate, the less dense the air becomes, so the less you're able to push off of it. So you get to a point where you can't gain any more altitude anymore because the air is not dense enough. But they're claiming that they are going into a vacuum of space and all that.
I'm kind of
That's all
what
bullshit.
You're saying now. You're saying, like, with gravity, we're always going up.
Yes.
And we're being pushed.
Yes, we're being pushed
so
up.
So they're like contradicting forces that
yes,
cancel out.
inertia. Inertia. So your body has inertia. The more mass you have, the more inertia you're going to have, the more resistance you're going to have. So your body wants to remain static. Because the Earth is moving up, that pushback of your inertia is what gives us our weight. So that's the opposite. It's inertia. That's why your body falls down, because it's being left behind. Just like with the apple experiment and the truck, the apple didn't swing to the back. It's the container that moved towards the apple. So if I release an apple here on Earth, it's not the apple that moved down towards the ground, it's the ground that moved up to the apple. So that same motion is what gives us buoyancy, because the air is being pushed up as well. So yeah, that's the number one proof that debunks the globe, and this is by far the biggest lie on Earth. It's the fact that objects don't accelerate down, and it's the Earth that comes up to meet it. That's the biggest lie on Earth, because even motionless flat earthers, which is the mainstream flat Earth, they all believe the Earth is motionless, and they also basically push that something is accelerating matter down in free fall, which obviously contradicts physics. Physics shows that the force is up, and buoyancy shows us that. That's the reality. So before you guys go, is there a possibility that we have been lied to about the nature of the Earth, or are you guys 100% convinced that it is a ball?
Well, I mean, you've definitely kind of been
Okay, fair
I mean,
enough.
it's definitely always been like uncertainty over things, because
enough.
I know before I knew that they admitted they do a lot of CGI work and everything to enhance things and everything.
Yes.
But I mean, I've I think everyone should have the possibility to be uncertain.
Have an
about
open
things.
mind.
Yeah,
Again,
open mind.
don't be so close, especially if you have nothing practical to back up why you believe it. In other words, because most people, believe it or not, even professors, because I've interviewed professors as well, nobody knows why they believe the Earth is a globe. Not even professors. So they're just teaching what they've been taught, and then whoever taught them are just teaching what they've been taught. So it's just a cycle that we need to break.
Well, I've never questioned it, because it just kind of made sense how it's explained.
Well, to be fair, I actually, when growing up, the bald Earth didn't really make sense to me, but I just accepted it because that's what I was told, and I was a child, and I trusted authority,
Yeah.
So I just dismissed it, me questioning that.
Yeah.
But it never really made sense how the globe Earth can just float in space, right? And there's no down. It just, the whole thing didn't really make sense to me. I just kind of accepted it just to go along, to get along, type of thing. Physics, on the other hand, can easily debunk the globe Earth. Again, physics of water, and when it comes to buoyancy, what we require to have buoyancy, right? Which is a force and a density difference between two objects. So yeah, that's the reality. What do you guys think? You guys gonna look into this further, or?
I mean, I think it's definitely interesting.
Yeah.
Right? Hypothetically, if I was, correct, because I can convince you in 10 minutes, I know that. But hypothetically, if we were being lied to about the shape of the Earth, could you think of a bigger lie than
Or
that?
other things?
Anything else that's bigger than that?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Would you agree that that's probably the biggest lie on Earth, hypothetically, if I was correct? Biggest lie on Earth. That people believe the Earth is a ball in outer space.
I guess
I mean, what could you think that could be a bigger lie than that? I mean, I couldn't think of anything, to be honest. But yeah, this is the number one censored subject on Earth, not only because it's the biggest lie on Earth, but also because it's the easiest to prove. Unlike they try to lump this in with conspiracy theories. Conspiracy theories like 9/11, for example, could never be proven because it was a historical event, and we can't go there to see exactly what happened. So now you can only come up with theories based on that. This is fact. This is physics. But they're trying to throw this in the same realm as conspiracy theories because they don't want people to look into this. They want people to believe that this is just theoretical, but it's actually physics. So that's another strategy that the mainstream uses to try and downgrade this information. He's just lumping it in with conspiracy theories, but it's not. It's a fact. Yeah. So here's my channel. If you guys don't have any other questions, you can give it a look. You guys can take it. I have a few. Yeah. Here. And I go to USC, I go to UCLA, and UC Irvine as well. And I have conversations all the time with the students. You can check it out as well. So inside of the 6 top proofs that debunk the globe as well. So you guys can check it out. All right, man. You guys take care. Yeah, do you have any questions before we go?
I didn't know much about it. So what are you like trying to like advocate for?
So the Earth is not a globe. I know that's what we've been told since we were born, right?
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. You know what buoyancy is, right?
Well, from what I understand, buoyancy is like, because like when you put a ball in water,
yes,
the reason I believe it floats is because it has air, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
there's another reason.
Air is thicker than water or something?
Yes.
So that's what makes it float.
There's another reason actually. So that's part of the reason,
yeah.
But there's another reason why that happens. So here, look. So you require a density difference. So this ball is less dense than the water.
Yeah.
But you also require a force. So depending on the direction of the force, that's the direction that the buoyant object is going to react. So if I apply a force in this direction, the buoyant object is pushing that same direction as the force because it's less dense than the medium. So when I apply a force in this direction, it goes that way because again, the water is also being pushed through space. And because water is more dense than this, it's able to push it in that same direction as the force. So buoyancy always follows the direction of the force because the medium that surrounds it is also moving in that same direction to be able to push it. So when we release a helium balloon here on Earth, because helium is buoyant, the air is more dense than helium, so he's able to push it up. But the air also has to be moving up to be able to push up the helium. So you require a force to do that. And the force is a push of the Earth.
So are you saying that air is constantly moving upwards?
Yes. We're moving up with it too. Because what's creating that upwards motion is the Earth itself. So the Earth moving up right now is what's pushing up the air, but it's also pushing us up. And that's why helium balloons go up, because the air is being pushed up as well. Because that's what buoyancy does. It follows the direction of the force. So obviously, if you believe the Earth is a ball, on a ball, up is relative. So if you're standing here, up is this way. If you're standing down here, up is in the opposite direction. So if we could prove that the ground is moving up, obviously, and buoyancy shows us that, then the Earth moving up on a ball wouldn't work. Because how can it move up this way and this way and this way and this way at the same time in every direction?
Yeah.
It wouldn't. It would have to be expanding to be able to push up in every direction at the same time.
Yeah.
Which means it would just explode, so it wouldn't work. So the globe Earth is actually just a level extended plane, and we're all standing on it, and it's just moving up in one direction. So again, orientation is singular on Earth, not relative. So up is singular, not relative, in other words. So again, so that's the number one proof that debunks the globe, is the fact that buoyancy shows that the force of the Earth is up. Yeah.
So what do you think? Do you think Earth is flat, or like?
Well, it's not flat, because I'm gonna tell you the difference between flat and level. The Earth is level. So level is an orientation, which is horizontal, right? Which is perpendicular to the vertical. So in order to have something level, you require a vertical force. So the Earth is a level plane that's perpendicular to the vertical upwards push. Flat Earth, on the other hand, over 95% of flat earthers online claim the Earth is motionless. So they deny the fact that the Earth is pushing up. So they're buying into an idea like gravity, that objects get pulled down by some kind of imaginary force that has never been measured or detected. Because buoyancy, if there was a force truly pushing the air down, then helium balloons will go down. Helium balloons will get stuck to the ground, but they don't. They go up. Because that shows the air is being pushed up as well.
So it's the same topic as the ball in the water, right?
Yes, exactly. And that's why a air ball or a ball will float in water, because it's being pushed up as well. Water is pushing up the ball, because the water is also moving up through space. So the whole Earth system is moving up, and everything else within it is also moving up. And that's what we will call gravity. It's a push of the Earth, not a pull. So yeah. I mean, why do you believe the Earth is a ball, if I may ask, before you go?
Well, from like pictures I've seen.
Okay, images.
Because I've never been outside.
No,
really
nobody has, believe it or not. But they claim they have, but they haven't.
Then, if you say they claim they have, then how would you explain like them getting to the moon?
Oh, it's done in a movie set.
Movie set?
Movie set, yes. So the moon landing in the 70s was done in a movie set, and then all the ISS footage that they show now is all done with blue screens and green screens and augmented reality. So they use augmented reality as well, green screens and blue screens. That's all it is. It's all a magic show, literally.
You can't prove it until you actually try something.
Well, not only that, again, the physics here on Earth contradicts what they're claiming. Really? At the end of the day. So again, the physics of water too shows that the oceans are horizontal, not curving. Because if we actually went out to physically measure if there was curvature of water, for example, on the surface, it's not there. Yeah, so the proof is in there. You could see. Yeah, exactly. So this is what they're telling us water's doing when contained, like a pool.
Yeah.
But in reality, this is what it is. It's just level. horizontal.
That's why when you go out to the sea, you just see flat.
Yes,
until
yes. And so
can't
you can't see
no more.
anymore. It's because you reach the limit of perspective.
Yeah.
People think that's the curve of the Earth because we can't see further, but it's just we're not Superman. We can't see forever.
That's why when you see with binoculars, you can see even further.
Yes, yes. So you get this, we get it. So yeah, things you can't see things forever because of perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, nice.
Yeah.
Alright.
So now, yeah, appreciate the chat, man.
Nice meeting you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. Yeah, I'm William.
Nice
So my channel's on the front there,
Yeah.
and you can check it out.
Alright.
You know, when you have some free time.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it,
Have a
man.
good day.
Have a good one, you too.